Now, talking about the next point, which is the major driving force when it comes to home prices and whether or not there's going to be a housing crash in 2021, which is simply a matter of supply and demand. So when we start this off, you have to understand where the current inventory levels are at. Now, when we look at the marketplace across the United States, there is about 2.7 months worth of inventory. Now, what does that mean? So as it sits today in November 2020, there are 1.47 million homes for sale. Now you might watch this and say, wow, that's a lot of homes. Well, let's compare that to what it looked like when we did have an economic collapse in 2009. In 2009, there were 3.1 million homes for sale. Now, as you and I talk about, I mean, when you talk about a supply, right? That's the first thing that's driving prices up and down. We have barely any homes for sale as you look historically. Now, the next thing you have to look at is, okay, there's nothing for sale. Well, let's look at how many home sales are happening. This is the critical factor. Listen closely. There's about 1 million home sales per month right now. As we end 2020, 1 million of the 1.4 million homes every month are selling. So that means that the supply that we have is very limited, which is causing prices to increase. Now, do we think that that inventory issue is going to shorten and we get into more of a neutral market? We do, because of the inevitable foreclosures increasing. Would you agree with that?
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So once foreclosures potentially start to hit the market late 2021, that could increase some of these inventory levels.
Well, that all makes sense from the number perspective, and being that I work in the mortgage industry myself, is the way people are viewing buying a home or owning a home, or whether they're doing a refinance to take cash out of their home. The one thing the pandemic has done is it's really put a focus on people loving their house or hating their house. Like in my like personally, kids' bedrooms are too small. It's a complete and utter nightmare at my house right now. So, you know, as people are looking toward 2021, like they're scared right now. Everybody's scared. Like, we don't know if we should be waiting for a vaccine. We don't know if we're flattening the curve. We don't know if it's a pause or a lockdown or quarantine. There's all these terms. And a lot of that with the housing market right now has really stalled people wanting to sell their house, along with like almost like a form of gridlock, right? Like nobody wants to sell their house because they're worried they can't find a house. So even as 2021 progresses, and maybe we do see rates go up a little bit, which again, it's not the worst thing in the world from an interest rate perspective, because it's a tool to lower them. It's a whole other thing. But it gives people an opportunity as 2021 comes around to say, like, okay, we're more comfortable with looking at more homes. More new homes are being built and completed. So I do think that 2020, there's still a big pent up demand back here for people that want to make a change now that their house is like really important to them, in the way that kind of our lifestyles have changed in the last 9 months.
And that's a really good point. So this video is all about what things look like now versus in 2009. And you bring up a really good point. When we look at the pride of home ownership, think about what happened in 08, right? Or the events that led up to 08. People were getting into homes that they knew they did not qualify for. So the second they found out that they owed more than that house was worth, and they maybe didn't deserve that home, walking away from that property was absolutely an option. Versus today, people are getting into properties that they absolutely qualify for, which brings us up into our next point, which is home equity position.